All right. Hi again. I am Rebekah, Kahavat Yehovah, and I just wanted to read some more to you. There we go. Yeah, welcome to just sit with me and get out your chronological gospels, and I just feel the need to read out loud. So I am going to make sure that all things are set up here. And one of the reasons why I'm doing this is just one of them is not only for myself to focus and get back into some reading, of course, but also I wanted to practice with all my equipment to make sure that everything was that I'm getting familiar with equipment, honestly, so that when show time comes, my Happy Hippie Hebrew Girl show on Shabbats, that it's not such a struggle. So I'm trying to get familiar with the equipment enough to where I can just know it like the back of my hand. And in order to do that, you've got to practice, right? Practice. So we're gonna practice, and I'm also needing to I feel like I need to be soaked in the words of the scriptures. So and I think you do too. I think there's so much in this movement that has complicated things, and I just want to help get things simple, get back to what does the scripture say. So and of course there's lots of conversation about that, but for today I am going to read the chronological gospels. This is the like poor eyes, big letters version. I love this. This is by this is the larger print edition. The Acceptable Year of the Lord, the Life and 70-Week Ministry of the Messiah. This you can get through Michael Rood's website. And I highly suggest getting this. There we go. All right, we are live for sure. Okay, so yes, let me just make sure on. Yeah. All right. So we are on the eve of Sukkot, so the first high Shabbat of Sukkot, according to the Creator's calendar, starts tonight. So we're a couple hours from sunset. I'm on my way home and thought I would sit and read with you for just a little bit about the birth of the Messiah, our Messiah, Yahshua HaMashiach. He was born on Sukkot, on the first high day of Sukkot. It makes perfect sense. He was born on the first high day of first high Shabbat of Sukkot, and he was circumcised on the last great day, which is the other high Shabbat during this feast. So I think that is truly a very, very wonderful thing. He was not born on trumpets. That the conjunctions in the sky heralded his soon arrival 15 days later. So let's go ahead and just start reading. I'm going to pick up where I left off last time. Let's see, I think I ended at Luke 2:7-20. But here's the thing, is if you just pick up a King James version or something, it's kind of all out of order, in the sense of you've got 4 gospels that tell the story in unique ways, but they're not chronological. So that's what I love about this scriptures right here, is that it's chronological, so you can see where Yeshua was at different feasts. Exactly, how it reads as a story, and I love that. Things have got to make sense to our hearts and our minds, and so the 40 years of work that it took Michael Rood and his team to put this scriptures, this Bible together, is just amazing. The New Testament, well, it's not the New Testament, it's actually the 4, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, And Matthew from the Hebrew, they found the Hebrew, Shem Tov Matthew in Hebrew, so, or however you say that. They found Matthew in Hebrew, so it's got that kind of influencing it, which is fabulous. And then you have Mark, Luke, John, plus Acts. You have the book of Acts in here, and you have Revelation, as Michael calls it, the fifth gospel. So we are just reading chronologically. So we finished yesterday, we read about his birth. And as you know, his birthday was not on December 25th. That is the birthday of all the pagan gods. And so as believers and as obedient believers in Yahshua, the son of Yehovah, the prophet that Moses spoke of, that we must shema and obey, our rabbi, the rightful king, the bridegroom to come, the Elohim. I mean, why wouldn't you want to know when his real birthday was? And so we gotta read. So we're gonna pick up where we left off, and we're just gonna read. All right. And I'm gonna snack on some grapes at some point, maybe not right this moment, but we just picked some grapes today, and these are amazing white Concord grapes. So anyway, I thought I would love to share with you, but brought them to kind of nibble on and share with you that way. Okay, here we go. This is event number 17, the Brit Milal. I don't know how to say that. The Brit Milal, that's the circumcision. So the circumcision of Yahshua. Yahshua is circumcised and named on the high Shabbat of the last great day. The last great day this year was, when this happened, 22nd day of the 7th month, 3,998 from creation. Thursday, October 3rd, 3 BCE. All right, we're going to look in Matthew 1:25b. So the first part of that, and Luke 2:21. So we'll start with Luke. When 8 days were fulfilled, they circumcised the child and named him Yahshua, just as he was named by the angel before he was conceived. And Matthew 1:25b says, and Joseph named him Yahshua. So cool, because Yahshua, if you study that name, I mean, it's just beautiful. Is what it means. It means basically Yah will save. All right, event 18. Yahshua is redeemed in the temple. Miriam is purified with the poor man's offering on her 40th day. Shimon and Hannah prophesy at the time, and Yahshua is presented for redemption. The 24th day of the 8th month, 3,998 from creation, Monday, November 4th, 3 BCE. Very cool. So you see how they're counting. So the 8 days were fulfilled. He was circumcised on the last great day, according to the commandment. That would have totally happened. And then he's redeemed, dedicated to the Great One, to the King of the universe, 40 days later. Okay, Luke 2:22. When the 40 days of Miriam's purification according to the Torah of Moses were fulfilled, they brought Yahshua to Jerusalem to present him to Yehovah. They offered a sacrifice for Miriam's purification according to the Torah of Yehovah, a pair of turtle doves or 2 young pigeons. And I'm going to actually read the commentaries as I go. So let's look at that. We see the Torah command in Leviticus 12:1-8. Miriam's postpartum purification offering was presented to the priest at the gate before she was allowed to go into the temple. And I think he talks about this later, but the idea that the wise men it confirms the fact that the wise men hadn't been there yet, because this was a poor man's offering. This was what was allowed, for a poor parent to bring, as was required. But if they had money, they would have brought something much more expensive than this. So at this point, the wise men still hadn't shown up. All right, Luke 2:25. There was a man in Jerusalem whose name was Shimon, and I grew up knowing it as Simon, but Shimon. He was righteous and devout, and he awaited the coming of the Comforter of Israel, and the Ruach HaKodesh was upon him. It was revealed to him by the Ruach HaKodesh that he would not see death before he had seen the Messiah of Yehovah. It came to pass that Shimon came by the Spirit into the temple when Miriam and Joseph brought in the child Yahshua to redeem him according to the instructions of the Torah. As it is written in the Torah of YHVH Yehovah, every male that opens the womb shall be called holy, or Kodesh, to YHVH. Then Shimon took him up in his arms and blessed the Almighty, saying, Yehovah, now let your servant depart in peace according to your word, for my eyes have seen your salvation, or your Yahshua, which you have prepared before the face of all mankind, a light to illuminate the Gentiles and the glory of your people Israel. Wow. All right, I want to go back here. So every male that opens the womb shall be called Kodesh, or holy, to Yehovah. There you go. Exodus 18:15-16 says the redemption price for the firstborn was presented to the priest in the temple. Cool. All right. So at verse 33, we see it says, I'm reading the scriptures now, Joseph and Miriam marveled at those things which were spoken by Shimon. And Shimon also blessed them and said to Miriam, listen carefully. This child is set for the fall and rising again of many in Israel, and for an ensign which shall be spoken against. Truth, a sword, shall also pierce through your very soul, so that the thoughts of many hearts may be revealed. Wow. I'm not sure I fully understand that, the ensign, and for the fall and rising again of many in Israel. All right, here we go. Verse 36, there also came in a prophetess. So they're in the temple, and here comes a prophetess too. Hannah, the daughter of Peniel, of the tribe of Asher. She was very old, I think I knew her as Anna, but in the Hebrew it would be Hannah. She was very old, having been married to her only husband for 7 years, and now widowed nearly 84 years. She never left the temple, but served day and night with prayer and fasting. She came in at that very moment and also gave thanks unto YHVH Yehovah, and spoke about Yahshua to all of those in Jerusalem who anticipating the coming redemption. Wow. So she spent her life in the temple prophesying and ministering. All right. Event 19. The Torah commandments are fulfilled. This is Luke's second summary statement. And I'm going to read what is written here in the before the text. This statement summarizes the events surrounding Yeshua's birth. After all the requirements of the Torah were fulfilled, they eventually returned to Nazareth, but not before their escape into Egypt, which actually occurs over a year later. Matthew documents the visit of the Chaldean astronomers, which was prompted by the astronomical signs in the heavens that announced the birth of the king of the Jews. Announced the birth of the king of the Yehudim. Judah. Is that right? Announced the birth of the king of Yehudim. I don't know my Hebrew very well. All right. Upon their return from Egypt, they planned to return to Bethlehem, but were diverted into the Galilee because of trouble with Herod's son. They returned to their hometown in the Galilee, where Yeshua grew to manhood. So Luke 2:39 says, and when they had performed all of the requirements according to the Torah of YHVH Yehovah, they returned to the Galilee, to their own village, Nazareth. All right, then we see we see an astronomical observation, a third conjunction. His star, the Zedek, the righteous Jupiter, comes into conjunction with Melech, the king. And that happens on the 11th day of the 12th month, 3,998 from creation, on Monday, February 17, in the year 2 BCE. Then we see a fourth conjunction, astronomical observation. We see his star, the Zedek, the righteous Jupiter, comes into conjunction with Melech, the king, again on the third day of the second month. So yeah, you've got a couple months there. Third day of the second month, 3,999 from creation, Thursday, May 8, 2nd BCE. Then you see a fifth conjunction. His star, Zedek, the righteous Jupiter, comes into conjunction with Venus, or Noga, the 14th day of the third month, 3,999 from creation, Tuesday, June 17th, 2 BCE. How cool is this? And then you see a sixth conjunction. His star, Zedek, the righteous Jupiter, comes righteous, in quotes, Jupiter. So it's not righteous Jupiter, it's righteous, meaning the righteous. Zedek, meaning righteous, and that's the planet Jupiter. Comes into a mass conjunction with Mercury and Venus and Mars. On the 26th day of the 5th month, 3,999 from creation, Wednesday, August 27, 2 BCE. Cool. Of the 5th month. Then we see a 7th conjunction. And you know how Papa loves the number 7. It's so awesome. Perfect number. Let's see. His star, Zedek, meaning the righteous, the planet Jupiter, comes into conjunction with Venus. Astronomers soon leave Babylon in the east for Yerushalayim in the west. The 13th day of the 7th month, 3,999 from creation, Monday, October 13, 2 BCE. So they actually leave for Yerushalayim during the 7th month. All the feasts are going on the 13th day, so 2 days, is that about 2 days before 2 days before Sukkot. Is that right? Yeah, 2 days. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so then the Chaldean astronomers arrive in Jerusalem. They meet with Herod, and then they rest on the weekly Shabbat. Well, it just says Sabbath. Yeah, the weekly Shabbat. Yeah, rest on the Sabbath. 21st day of the 9th month, 3,999 from creation, Friday, December 19, 2 BCE. So they're going to rest come that evening for the weekly Shabbat, I believe is how that is. Okay, so Matthew 2, so 2:1 says, after Yahshua was born, this is the scriptures now, after Yahshua was born in Bethlehem of Yehuda in the days of Herod the king, Chaldean astronomers from the east came to Jerusalem, saying, where is he that is born king of the Jews, or the Yehudim? We have seen his star in the east and have come to pay homage to him. And I want to, let's go back and let's actually read the commentary here. So he's making a commentary on the Chaldean astronomers. So the timing of the astronomers' arrival in Jerusalem is based on their pre-dawn observation of his star, standing directly over Bethlehem on the morning of their leaving Jerusalem. That's the 21st, so 21, yep. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. The Greek word magi is a common term for astronomers from the land of Chaldea. Daniel, you know, all the, and the four, I don't know how to say all these names. Daniel, Azariah, Mishael, Hananiah, I'm not sure how to say all those, were among the members of the royal family. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Those were pagan names, and so their Hebrew names are right here. But they were among the members of the royal family who were trained in the Torah and the Hebrew astrophysics in Jerusalem. As captives of Babylon, they were also trained in Chaldean mathematics, science, and astronomy. Daniel was the overseer of all the astronomers in Babylon for more than 60 years. He was made an extremely wealthy man 3 different times during his tenure as the satrap or under ruler for 3 different kings. Yet having been made a eunuch, he had no direct descendant to whom he could bequeath his wealth. Daniel was given very specific divine revelation concerning the timing of the coming of the Messiah, some of which he made public and some of which he was instructed to hide. Apparently, some of the information was for him alone to understand and act upon. When the Judeans were allowed to return to rebuild Jerusalem in the 7th year of the reign of Artaxerxes, 457 BCE, Most of the Jews stayed behind in Babylon. Mordecai and Hadassah, Queen Esther among the most famous of those that stayed behind. There is little doubt that many of the Jewish astronomers, secure in their prestigious positions, continued to flourish in Babylon. So what happened to Daniel's treasure? Who originally left detailed instructions and financial provision for the journey of the astronomers? How did they know what signs to look for in the heavens that would announce the birth of the Messiah? And who set aside the treasure that was laid at the feet of the Messiah? And who directed the movements of the stars and the planets so that the treasure would arrive on the very day it would be needed for their flight into Egypt and their continued sustenance? Obviously, someone of wealth and power who had received divine revelation and supernatural motivation prepared the provisions for the future king of Israel and financed the journey of the astronomers. And the Almighty directed both the heavenly bodies and Daniel in their courses. To me, that blows me away. That, that's like, I think it was 500 years before, 500 years or so before Yahshua was born, that Daniel lived. And, what an amazing thing. If you just sit and think about that. I mean, Papa knew, YHVH the great one, the Almighty, the Father of Yahshua, knew that his son was going to need provision. And 500 years before, he puts Daniel in the palace, to serve under those kings, to gain great wealth. And with all that knowledge and understanding of the story and the stars, and to teach the pagans how to read it, and then be able to influence them enough to get them to actually, act on and move when the time would be there for them to deliver his present to the king. Isn't that just amazing? That just gives me goosebumps. I mean, that is just beautiful. Because I've always thought, where did the gold and the myrrh and the frankincense, where did that come from, for one? And why? Well, and why would they bring it? I mean, even if they were rich and they had, why would they bring it to not their king? Did they really recognize him as their king? I mean, they were delivering. They're Chaldeans. They're from the east. They weren't Israelites. But how wonderful that Papa, through them, provided for his son. I'm sure it changed their life big time. I'm sure they were believers, but after that, but that's my opinion. But wow, I just think that is so cool. Just sit with that. Daniel saved everything all his wealth, and he bequeathed it to Yahshua. He did everything that he needed, that Papa told him to do, in order to provide for the Messiah when the Messiah was a baby, and to provide for that escape to Egypt. Whew! I don't know about you, but me, that is just that was just amazing. Oh, okay. All right, we'll keep going here. Did you know that the grape seed is super good for you to eat? And the grape, the skin, that's where most of the nutrients are. So don't spit out the skin and don't spit out the seed, because these are not table grapes. These you can't buy at the store. These are real grapes. Okay. Let's see, where are we? All right, I'll just start again. Matthew 2:1. Yeah, let's just start there again. After Yeshua was born in Bethlehem, in the days of Herod the king, Chaldean astronomers from the east came to Jerusalem, saying, "Where is he that is born king of the Jews? We have seen his star in the east and have come to pay homage to him." When Herod the king heard these things, he and all Jerusalem were troubled. That's interesting. He and all Jerusalem were troubled. That's interesting. I wonder, all Jerusalem were troubled. He gathered all the leading Kohanim, which is the priests, the order, the priests. Yeah, I think that was, let's see. So hard to stop to stop in midway and look at all the notes, right? He gathered all the leading Kohanim. Oh, I guess there were about 20 chief priests who had major responsibilities governing the temple service during the Second Temple period, and that's who he gathered. And the sages of Israel together, and so he gathered the leading priests and the sages of Israel together and demanded them to reveal where the Messiah was to be born. They said to him, in Bethlehem of Yehuda. It is Judea, basically, as it is written by the prophet, and you, Bethlehem, in the land of Yehuda. Why can't I get that word? And you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judea, are not the least among the princes of Judah. For out of you shall come a governor who shall rule my people Israel. Herod privately called the astronomers and diligently inquired of them, when did his star first appear? Oh, he's so sly. Then he sent them to Bethlehem and said, go and search diligently for the young child, and when you have found him, bring me word so that I may also go and render honor to him. Oh, he's such a liar. Okay, let's go and just look. There's a little bit of commentary on the fact that the Chaldeans came from the east. So let's just read this commentary here. The Chaldean astronomers came from the east when they saw his star in the east. So when they saw the Zedek star, the Jupiter, in the east, yet they traveled west to Jerusalem. They were obviously not following a low-flying Bethlehem star. Rather, they were following instructions passed down to them by someone who understood the signs in the heavens that would announce the birth of the king of the Judeans. Without a rudimentary understanding of astronomy, the details recorded in the Hebrew scriptures might appear ludicrous to the untrained reader, and historical events benchmarked on notable celestial conjunctions would have been indecipherable. Okay, there you go. All right, let's read just a little bit more, and then we'll read again. All right. Zechariah serves with all the Kohanim during Hanukkah week, 22nd day of the 9th month, 3,999 from creation, Saturday, December 20th, 2 BCE. So we're at the 22nd day of the 9th month. In 3 days, it'd be 3 days there till Hanukkah. All priests are on duty on the Sabbath preceding the feast through the end of the feast, the Feast of Dedication. And then you can see the details of the different courses and of the priest courses. You can totally check this out. I know he's got a lot in here about that. So then we have astronomical observation, the 8th conjunction. Woo, which would mean a new time, right? 8 meaning new, 7 is great, 8 meaning new. Awesome. Okay, astronomers see his star in the rising in their pre-dawn observations on the 23rd day of the 9th month, 3099 from creation, Sunday, December 21st, 2 BCE, so the next day. His star is positioned directly over Bethlehem as viewed from Herod's palace, the modern Jaffa Gate. And oh, I've been to Jaffa Gate. Ooh, cool. Nice. The modern Jaffa Gate in Jerusalem, or in Jerusalem. The astronomers leave immediately for Bethlehem with great joy over this celestial event. All right, now we're going to read scriptures. Matthew 2:9-11 is next in the chronological order. Remember, we're doing chronological order here of the story. All right, after they heard the king, they departed, as in the Chaldeans departed from Herod's palace. In the east they beheld the star which led them, and it came to the point in the heavens and fixed itself directly over Bethlehem, where the young child was. See, it says a young child, not a baby, but he was a young child. And when they saw the star, they rejoiced with exceedingly great joy. Man, they must have really, they must have been passionate about this. They must have, been wanting to meet the king. Okay, there's a little commentary here about them departing. Let me read it to you. More than a year after their first sighting of his star and the great sign in the heavens which announced the birth of the righteous king, the Lion, the tribe of Judah, the astronomers arrived at the city gates of Jerusalem, a few days before Hanukkah, with their lavishly appointed caravan. After their interview with Herod, the temporal king in Judea, they would have rested on the Sabbath and then made their pre-dawn astronomical observations just before leaving for Bethlehem on the first day of the week, on that Sunday. To their amazement, his star was in retrograde motion and appeared to be fixed in the heavens directly over their destination. This final sign in the heavens on the very morning of their arrival was the source of exceeding great joy. Okay. So they were super excited that it was all working. So you can look at, you get the book A Voice Crying in the Heavens by Wadsworth. All right, let's read just a little bit more. So event number 22, astronomers present their gifts to the king. Immediately after presenting their gifts, the astronomers defy Herod and return to Babylon. This is an event that happens on the 23rd day of the 9th month, so 2 days before Hanukkah, 3,999 from creation, Sunday, December 21st, 2 BCE, which is when they had over here, they were seeing their pre-dawn observations of his star rising, right? Okay, Matthew 2:11-12. When they came into the house and saw the young child with Miriam, his mother, they bowed down before him. Super important. There's a house and there is a young child. Yahshua is the young child. And when they opened their coffers, they presented him with gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. But having been warned by the Almighty in a dream that they should not return to Herod, they departed into their own country by another route. All right. These are, and this is a commentary, these are the 3 traditional gifts presented to royalty. The pure oils of frankincense and myrrh were more valuable than their weight in gold. Wow. I know. Like, just try to buy like a little bit of frankincense oil. It's so expensive. Oh my gosh. Super expensive, just a little bit. But if they had like big, I don't know, big coffers, it sounds like there was a lot. All right. Note that there are 3 types of gifts offered, not 3 astronomers. As in, there wasn't just 3. These men would not have been wise men, but fools to journey through the wilderness without being escorted by a large, heavily armed caravan. There may have been a dozen or more Jewish astronomers who took part in this historic journey from Babylon to Jerusalem, as well as many more armed guards guaranteeing their safety. That's super cool. That changes that whole picture that we always see of the shepherds and the... I can't see when I have these on. So that, you know how the whole scene is, you know, the typical Christmas picture is, you know, you got the shepherds and the wise men kneeling before the king and they're in a manger and, yeah, you just got to get a new picture. You got to get a new view. This is a sukkah and he's probably laid in a big old, you know, bread trough or something, and there's just the shepherds there that night, and you're looking at a year later, the little boy running around, well, crawling around maybe, however much he was doing at that point, and over a year later, and a huge armed caravan comes up knocking on the door of the house, you know, can I see the king? Wow, the baby king. Oh, wow. Super cool. Okay. And here's one more commentary on this. Bethlehem or Beit Lechem is less than 5 miles it's less than 5 miles from Herod's palace in Jerusalem. Been there. The astronomers would have arrived at the house within an hour of their departure. The dream that warned them of Herod's treachery most likely occurred on the Sabbath. They defiled Herod's instructions to notify him of the child's whereabouts and departed immediately for Babylon by the southern route, avoiding the commonly traveled route past the city gates of Jerusalem. So when we were there last year, we went to Israel last year for Sukkot, and we actually got to stay in a bed and breakfast on a street. It was Derek's. I can't remember. It was Derek. Derek is the word for street, I believe. But it was the street that went straight from Jerusalem the old city straight to Bethlehem. And it was like, people were telling us that it was a stone throw. Now, going into Bethlehem is a little bit tricky. At least it was back then. But, so yeah, it's super cool that, when you've been there and you can, like, reference in your mind now what kind of the terrain and what it looks like. It changes the whole understanding of the story. It makes it so much more real. Yeah. All right. Okay, I'm going to read 2 more pages here, and then we'll be done for today. Event number 23, Joseph, Miriam, and Yahshua flee to Egypt just before Hanukkah, the 24th day of the 9th month, 3,999 from creation, Monday, December 22nd, 2 BCE. So Matthew 2:13 through 15 says, after the astronomers departed, the angel of Yehovah appeared to Joseph in a dream, saying, "Arise and take the young child and his mother and flee into Egypt. Stay there until I bring word, because Herod is scheming to destroy the young child." Joseph arose and departed that night, taking the child and Miriam into Egypt, where they remained until the death of Herod. Thus it was fulfilled which was spoken by Yehovah through the prophet Hosea, saying, "Out of Egypt I have called my son." All right, just a couple commentaries here that I think is pretty cool. I'm reading you all the commentaries, actually. I'm not just everything that's here. All right, after the astronomers departed, ouch, my hand. This is a heavy book. All right, after the astronomers departed, I was just going to read the scriptures again. Anyway, okay, the commentary, here we go. The gifts of the astronomers would finance their journey and allow them to get resettled in the land after their flight to Egypt. Luke records that Joseph and Miriam presented the poor man's sacrifice when Yahshua was taken to the temple on his 40th day. This indicates that they were quite poor at the time and obviously not yet in possession of the treasure of the astronomers. These gifts may have also partially financed Yeshua's ministry. That's so cool. And then one more commentary here says Hosea 11:1 was literally referring to Israel's exodus from Egypt by figuratively referring to the nation of Israel as his son. As a prophetic utterance, Hosea's words were fulfilled when Yahshua, who is literally the son of Elohim, was called out of Egypt by the angel Gabriel. All right. And the final event I'm going to read tonight is event number 24. Herod orders the slaughter of the innocents in and around Bethlehem. Male children in a stated age range are executed at the order of Herod on Hanukkah, the 25th day of the 9th month, 3,999 from creation. Hold on just a second. Oops. Okay. All right, let's just finish this, and then my kiddos need me. I need to go. All right. Matthew 2:16 through 18. So that was so this is literally the order from Herod to execute all the male children in Bethlehem happened on Hanukkah. Ugh. Okay. When Herod realized that he was deceived by the astronomers, he was filled with rage. And he ordered the execution of all children in Bethlehem and the surrounding area from 2 years old and under, according to the time which he had diligently inquired of the wise men. This was the fulfillment of the words spoken by the prophet Isaiah. In Ramah there was heard a voice of lamentation, weeping, and great mourning, Rachel weeping for her children, refusing to be comforted because they were no more. So I'm going to read the commentary here and then we'll be done. But I want to point out that I guess I felt, I don't know about you, but whenever I have been lately over the course of the last, pretty much all the time. But when you enter the feast, And the feast time, the feast season, it just seems like there's just so much set against it. And, I was thinking about this last night, thinking, wow, there was, you come into the feast season and you just get hammered, and you do prayer warfare, you do word prayer, and you try real hard to figure out how to, enter these feasts with joy and shalom, but the evil one is set against him, and so he will send everything he can to destroy your pursuit of living in this rhythm and turning and repenting and obeying Papa, and turning from the pagan ways to his ways, to Papa's ways, to Yahweh's ways, Yehovah, YHVH. And I just started realizing and I started thinking about how many times wars have broken out on a feast day. You have the Yom Kippur War, you have all this stuff, and you have like this. Look at this. He murders these kids on Hanukkah, on the first day of Hanukkah. You have also, Zechariah is and we'll read that later, is executed there. But you've got just 3,000. Herod kills 3,000 priests on the Temple Mount on Passover. I mean, he cancels Passover and just kills all these people. You have these horrific things happening on these feast days. And so, why do I think that I can just float on through these feasts and just think everything is going to be hunky-dory, and that I should be able to have all this peace and shalom? And you have that deep joy that doesn't go anywhere no matter what you experience. But to think that nothing should happen, that it should be like this smooth sailing through the feast, I get into that mindset where I think, man, I'm tired of being hammered on the feast. But then when I kind of step back, like I was doing last night, step back and get a big picture and look and see, whoa, his people have always been under attack on feast days. Big things happen on feast days. So why would I think that I'm going to be able to sail through these easily? I'm not. So it's kind of been a wake-up call for me the last couple days to rethink. And I think I saw this when I read it before I'm reading it to you. I read this a couple days ago and went, whoa, that's when it happened. That's why I love the chronological Gospels, is because you can actually see when some of these events take place and realize, wow, that was on a feast day. That was near a feast. That was right at that time. It's crazy. Let me read this commentary and then I'm going to go. The phrase "from 2 years old and under, according to the time which he had diligently inquired of the wise men," gives us the parameters for both the signs in the heavens and the astronomers who are witnessing, and the time frame for the birth of the Messiah. The astronomers arrived in Jerusalem about 1 year and 4 months after the first astronomical sign. Somebody will not hold on. Hold on. Okay. All right. Let me read this and then we'll go. The astronomers arrived in Jerusalem about 1 year and 4 months after the first astronomical sign that happened on August 1, 3 BCE. And 1 year, 2 months, and 6 days after the birth of Yahshua, Tishri 15, 3998, September 26, 3 BCE. Newborns, as well as children in their 3rd year and older, were most likely exempt from the execution order. Given the meager size of the population around Bethlehem, the relatively small number of children that would have fit the execution profile, and the large number of people whom Herod and the Romans were accustomed to killing on a whim, it is doubtful that the slaughter of children would have warranted much notice outside of the immediate area. But rang in the heavens, no doubt, right? And this is interesting. Both Yahshua and Yohanan, they're cousins, so Yahshua and Yohanan ben Zechariah, John, now I just forgot his English, or how we say it in English. Yohanan ben Zechariah, his cousin. They were living in the hill country of Judea in the vicinity of Bethlehem just before Herod's execution order was issued. They're babies. They were both in their second year. Yahshua was born in a quiet obscurity with only a handful of shepherds hearing the announcement by the angel. Yohanan, on the other hand, was born as a result of a miraculous announcement to an old priest serving in the temple on the high day of Shavuot. Zechariah, his father, was struck deaf and dumb, and the multitude of congregation of Israel were present to witness his malady. At the time of Yohanan's circumcision, when Zechariah's mouth was open, he cried out a prophecy concerning his son that was then noised about throughout the hill country of Judea. Luke 1:65-79. In the political world of Jerusalem, there was only one obvious candidate for the Messiah, Yohanan ben Zechariah, the Cohen, the miracle child of the 4th millennium. Herod would not be able to rest until the son of Zechariah was dead. Anyway, it goes on a little bit there talking about Yohanan ben Zechariah, but I'm going to end right there, and perhaps maybe later we'll keep reading. We'll just keep reading about Yahshua, his life. I think this is good. It's called Eating of Yahshua. It's called Eating of the Bread of Life. So anyway, you guys have a wonderful entry into Sukkot, or maybe you're already starting, but Hag Sameach, have a wonderful feast this next week, and may the Ruach HaKodesh live in you and breathe through you, and may you eat of Yahshua. And remember, it's his birthday. He's like, how old now? He's 2019 years. I gotta go back and do my math. But anyway, you guys have a really good high Shabbat tonight. I'm gonna go home and be with my kids and rest and finish our sukkah. Bye bye.